All right, so to prepare for our 2-point perspective drawing, we are going to start out by right around the middle of our paper, centering our T-square and giving ourselves a light vertical line, just like that. This is centered on my paper. My camera's just kind of over here. I'll move it for now. I might have to move it back and forth. But it can remain relatively light. And then you're going to take your T-square and your right angle triangle, and I'm going to kind of pull this all the way to the side and give myself a bit of a line here. And then I'm just going to move it across, make sure that it's still aligned, and pull that line out that way. So I have a crosshairs about 1/3 of the way up my line. So it's slightly lower than halfway on my full paper. My halfway point on my paper is here, and I've moved it just down a bit. You could move it even a little bit lower. You just want a little bit of room down here to project your space onto. We are going to be doing this in 1/2 inch scale today. So we're going to find our half scale, and we are going to create our measuring points. So if I open up, that's not it. Let's see. The drawing steps here. In the 2-point perspective, I did put the PowerPoint up for us. If I just open this up, the first thing that we're going to make is our true height line. That's going to go along the vertical line that we established. You could draw the vertical line, measure it all out, and then draw your horizontal line. I like getting the crosshair set up and then doing all of my measuring at once. So we're going to measure up in 1 foot increments from the axis point, and then we will measure to the side in 1 foot increments as well. To know how big we need to make this, we need to check our assignment. So our assignment here gives us our spatial and architectural elements. It is a 12 foot by 10 foot room with a wall height of 8 feet. So we need to give at least 8 feet on our true measuring point. And let's see, assignment. Bring that back over here. There we go. So I'm going to come with my 1/2 inch scale, line up my 0 here along the bottom, and give myself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have my little marks here. I can now come back across and line up my T-square, and from my 8 down to my 0, just make that a little bit darker. And I'll darken up these tick marks as well. Sometimes you'll set up these measuring points on a piece of paper and then actually do your grid on a sheet of like a transparency film, like onion skin. Today we're going to do our whole grid here. We're just going to keep these lines darker so that we can still see them. All right, and then we had a 12 foot by 10 foot room. Let's go ahead and just give this wall as our 12 foot and this wall as our 10 foot. So I'm going to come here, And I'm going to get this out of the way for a moment and find my 12-foot increments. Line it up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. So I have that. There, 12 foot, and then I'm going to go 10 foot in this direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alrighty. So here I have my true measuring point, and then here I have my horizontal measuring points. That's an H. Alright. Then so we're at this. We're at our step 4. This can also be called your baseline. All right. Step 4. Okay, the next thing that we need to do is we need to establish a horizon line. So that horizon line is about, we want eye level-ish. So here they have it set at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 foot. That's great. And we are going to draw a long line all the way through the center. The best way to do this for me is to find 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, yeah. Whoops. Thank you. Let's get this back up. Okay. All right. So the best way that I find to do this is to find where I want my horizon line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to just make that mark through here. And you're going to want it to extend out further than your other lines. So I'm basically going to extend it all the way across my page here. And I'm just going to keep lining this up, bringing it over like this. So now I have my line extending all the way across the page. It's a little bit tilted, but at least you can see more of it. What we need to do now is we need to find our vanishing points. And how we're going to do this is we're simply going to set up our I gotta get this right. Okay. We're going to take our 45-degree angle here, and we want our vanishing points to be at a 45-degree angle out from our last little mark here. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to bring it along my horizon line, which I'll label here, until I find my last little tick mark. And then I'm going to lightly extend this line till I can see it's where it crosses. So I just had this lined up on my tick mark. This is lined up along my horizon line. This is now my right vanishing point. I'm going to do the same thing over on the other side here. And I'm going to have to turn this and get it lined up. I'm going to have to scooch this all the way here so that I find the 45 degree, and there is my left vanishing point. Alrighty. Let's go back and look at our little designs here. So we have our left vanishing point. This one's set at 35. In this example, I've set them at 45. That's kind of my preference. You can set them legitimately at any angle. It's just if you get outside of like the 30 to 45 degree, you're going to end up with like a little bit more skew. It's going to look a little bit proportionally like stretched and pulled. Okay, so yeah, so I could also extend this line out just a little bit, which actually would help me a little bit because I didn't quite get it on there. I was just noticing. Yeah. So if I extend this line out just a bit, then I can line up my triangle and get that a little bit more set on. So yeah, if you need it, you can always extend out these lines because they're what we're using as our like defined horizontal point. So yeah, you can, we're gonna do our example at 45 degree angles. You could do it at 30, you could do it at less. It's just going to skew the room a little bit more unnaturally if you do anything outside of between about 30 and 45. All right, so we have a horizon line, our left vanishing point, our right vanishing point, our true height line, and our baseline, or our base measuring point, or horizontal measuring point. You might hear it called a couple different things. Okay, so we also need to figure out where our measuring points are going to. Here they're measuring 14 foot out. We are going to actually momentarily skip this step because how I like to set it up is, and I have a video that I will link that I like to reference if I haven't done 2 points perspective in a while. And I'm going to put it in your class's, what's it called, playlist. I meant to log into this before. Yeah, okay. So if I go here to new playlists, and right now I have it set in my watch later, but I will save that to your playlist here right now. I'm gonna mute this and then let it play through, because I like how this guy sets up the next part, so we're going to watch that. because I think the way that he does measuring points is a lot more natural. So we have a horizon line. So here's another just a view of that, finding that vanishing point.
Put a little X there, and that becomes a vanishing point on the left-hand side. Now we're going to repeat this on the right-hand side. I'm just going to draw a light line where it crosses the horizon line. I'll darken it, put an X through, and that will be our vanishing point on the right-hand side. So now we have our left and our right vanishing points, and using these we can create the rest of the 2-point perspective grid. Now that we have our true height line.
So what I like that he has here, that if I did this, it would probably look pretty messy in front of the class. But he's gone through and done this marker so that you can see it really well.
Our horizon line, our ground line, and the true height line and the ground line are marked in 1 foot increments.
Ground line, baseline are the same thing.
Creating the perspective. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and added some darker lines to show you those basic lines, and then we'll create the perspective on top of this. The first thing we're going to do is draw the back corner floor line for the left and then for the right walls. So what we're going to do is we're going to need our straight edge, a nice long straight edge, again a yardstick would work. We're going to go through the intersection of the true height line and the ground line and align that with our right vanishing point to create the left-hand wall. For interior perspectives, you will always use the opposite vanishing point for a wall. So, for example, the right vanishing point for the left-hand wall and ceiling and floor, and the left-hand for the right wall and ceiling.
All right. So as he explains it here, we're going to establish these floor lines first, and then we're going to eventually use these as our measuring points. So I'm going to escape from this very quickly, and we're going to do that step. And when you are drawing in perspective, setting up these things, having just a reference that you know, in your back pocket, that you're I know this person takes me through the steps really well, is a great thing to have, because even if you're very experienced, if you haven't done it in a while, it can get a little confusing. Okay, so what we're doing here is our vanishing points get a little bit strange because we have to use our right vanishing point for anything that extends into this part of the room. I might have to just zoom out so that we can see enough. Well, that's not really going to help me. Okay. I might rotate it back, and we will just deal with having this up here, because I don't think I'm going to end up using that as much. Okay, at least we can see a little bit more now. So, in order to find the floor here, we need to use our right vanishing point. We're going to come through this little spot here, which is our corner of our room, and I am just going to line up my straight edge. This is where it comes really in handy if you have a long ruler. You can also sometimes flip over your T-square and get a pretty good straight edge this way. So we're gonna right vanishing point, that middle, just make sure that they are nice and aligned, and then from here to here we are going to extend our line out at least as long as if we dropped this straight down, that it would come there. You can extend it out further. That's just fine. But you want to at least extend it that far. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get this side of the floor. So we're going to go from our left vanishing point through our center here. Make sure that's nice and aligned. And lightly drawing that line as well. Once again, you want to make sure it extends at least this far out. Okay. The next thing that we are going to do is we are going to take our left vanishing point and we are going to extend it through this mark here, which is our 12-foot mark. And from right here to right here, we're just going to extend this line. So it's almost as if it was an extension of this little line that we have here. If it extended straight through, it would become this line. And we're going to do the same on the right, but at our 10-foot mark. Now, in here, in this space, is our floor. You can see it's just like a little bit skewed in this diamond shape. If we adjusted the vanishing points, it's going to adjust this skew here. Now we're going to use our vanishing points and our baseline with our measuring points marked to create our floor grid. So that's simply going to be lining up our left vanishing point, bringing it in to the next tick mark, and from here to here, drawing in that line. And we're going to go all the way down the left-hand side, and then we'll switch to the right vanishing point and do the right-hand side. You want to make sure that you get them through the center of this point as much as possible. And double check to make sure that your straight edge has not wiggled from your vanishing point as you go. Oh, I missed one right there. There it is. If you see a space that looks like suspiciously large, like this space, you probably missed a tick mark at some point, and you just have to go back and find where that is. And line it back up. So you'll notice there's the diminution as it travels away from you. So the objects that are closer, ooh, ouch, are going to appear larger. Scraped up my finger there. Just giving myself a bit of a tape band-aid for now to put some pressure on that. Okay. And so we have them marked this way. Now we're going to come back across. We're going to do the same thing along our right vanishing point and the right side of our baseline. Looks a little off. Okay. Okay, that looks better. All right, so I have my grid here for my floor now. Now I need to extend my walls up from the corner here. And I'm just going to go up because just like in our 1-point perspective, our straight vertical lines and our straight horizontal lines are always going, they're not going to be on a diagonal. They're going to remain straight up and down. And I'm,
Usually light or dark lines.
I bring them in just like a little bit lighter. I'm trying to keep it so that I will be able to see these lines behind, so that if I want to use them to do our measuring, I can. All right. Now, this is the part where it gets a little.
Did you do this front corner wall? Did you do this front corner? Is that like the one up?
Oh, this?
Like, yeah, the front.
Yeah. Nope. We're leaving it open. So in a 2-point perspective, we only get 2 wall planes. So as opposed to our 3-point perspective where we get 3, we get 2. We're like looking into a corner. So theoretically, yes, there's a wall here and a wall along here, but we don't actually end up seeing those because we need to erase them to be able to see into the space. So now we are going to find the top part of our wall. What we have to do here is remember how anything over here on the right side actually measures to this left vanishing point, and anything on the left side measures over to this right vanishing point. We have to take our straight edge through our left vanishing point up to the top of our true measuring point marker, which is at that 8 foot. And on this side, extend the wall up and out that way. We are going to do the same over here, where we'll take our right vanishing point, go through our top of our true measuring point at 8 foot, and extend it out up and that way. So now we have our 2 wall planes. Should start carrying Band-Aids with me, apparently. Everybody feeling comfortable, caught up so far? This should be feeling like it's going a little bit easier than that 1-point perspective to start with, just because we're familiar with laying out these grids now. All right. Now what we are going to do is we are going to mark our walls with their grids. And we're going to do that by taking our T-square, lining it up with each of these points down on our gridded floor, and just extending them upwards to the top of the wall. And so we just slide that along to the top of the wall. Move this camera for a moment. So go across. And it's from the floor grid to the top. So we're ignoring this measuring line right now.
So when you're an actual interior designer,
Mm-hmm.
you have to draw drawings like this for your clients often.
So from what I've heard from interior designers that are practicing, so like they currently have clients, is most of the time they use some sort of digital software. They do end up doing hand renderings occasionally, but they often are not this exact. What they often are is more what we cover in 2100, which is getting this stuff down without having to draw out all the grids, and getting it close enough that a client can envision the space, it looks accurate to the space, but it's not like down to the measuring. Yeah. And on this drawing, we're going to do a little bit more of like the eyeballing or guesstimating for our furniture. That way we build that skill a little bit as well. So we're going to basically like use our grid to eyeball, and if it's like halfway, we'll guess that. That's also going to keep this drawing going a little bit faster. That way we have next week to work on our final. While y'all finish up this little part, I'm going to talk a little bit about the final. So for our final, you are either going to take your 1 point or your 2 point perspective drawing. You're going to create a color / finish board using, you'll want a piece of foam core that is at least like the half poster board size, so like what's up on the wall over there. And you're going to be able to go through our stash in our, I'm just forgetting the name of it right, sample room, to do those. And then you're going to use markers and marker paper that I'll provide to lay over your drawing. You can re-sketch it out. I have the light tables, so if you're having problems seeing through the paper, we'll have that as well. And you'll do a rendering in markers that's as close as you can get it to the finishes and samples that you've picked out for your room. You're also going to be able to add in or modify the furniture a little bit to look more realistic, should you choose. If you want to keep it blocky for right now, that's okay. If you want to play with making it a little more realistic, that's okay too. Everybody comes into these classes with like a little bit different comfortability level with drawing. All right. So now we need to use our true measuring point line here to mark out our grid going up into space. While we work on the left wall, we're going to continue out to our right vanishing point. So we are going to take our right vanishing point through our first mark here and make that line. And we're going to just keep traveling up through our marks. And then we'll do the same for the right hand side, measuring out to our left vanishing point. Sometimes when you are drawing these, especially when we're in 2100, you end up, your paper is not as large as this. And one of the things that you can do just to kind of eyeball your vanishing point so that you're getting close perspective is to mark things like on a piece of tape or a sticky note and put it out to either side of your horizon line. That way you have them to roughly measure to. We don't do as much of the whole grid thing, but we will, you know, take a vanishing point just so that we can check on our furniture that everything's aligning. On your horizon line, the closer you are to your horizon line, the closer this is going to be to straight. So if you have a mark near your horizon line, it won't appear to come that far off. Make sure though it's still going to the vanishing point and through your mark, because the horizon line is not a substitute. You can put your horizon line anywhere. It doesn't have to be directly on a mark. All right, and now I'm going to do the same thing over here, where I'm going to take my left vanishing point and go through these tick marks again, but extending it this way. So left vanishing point here. There. So now we have this wall here and this wall here. If I want to make sure that I can really tell the difference between where my floor starts and my wall starts, is I can come in and give this just a little bit of a darker line. All right. Let's take a 5-minute break, and when you come back or during it, you're going to want to take a piece of the transparency paper, the tracing paper, and we're going to put it down over top of this. And I'm going to